What's going on, guys? So in this video we're revisiting a video that I haven't done in a few years. I've actually been asked by a few people recently to revamp the list because a lot's changed in my collection over the last few years, and yeah, we're talking 10 cheap fragrances for life. I love my cheap fragrances, there's no secret, but it's going to be quite difficult to whittle it down to just 10. There's definitely some fragrances that have changed from the previous video that came out back in like April or May of 2020. At the recording of this, we're late July of 2022. So, like I said, a lot's changed in a little over 2 years as far as if I had to just keep 10, what those 10 would be. So let's talk about it. Stay tuned. Now, for all of these, I'm going based off of what I paid for them and kind of the going rate in the marketplace. And this is one that I paid $25 for at Marshall's. They're in the sub $40 price point from Discounters Online last time I looked. We're talking about Davidoff Cool Water Parfum. This is definitely my favorite version of Cool Water. This stuff is really good. There's actually a little bit of depth here. More so than the original, even though the original has a lot more notes. The Intense, it's a lovely bubblegummy type of beast, don't get me wrong. It's a nice, playful, but very loud fragrance. But this one kind of meets in the middle between the two with, it's a little bit smoother, a little bit more refined. It's not as in your face, but it's still very long lasting. I get every bit of, 8 to 9 hours of life on my skin. Projection is pretty stout without being really heavy and in your face. I just really like the way this one performs on my skin. Is extremely versatile, and then you get a little bit of everything. I've mentioned this before. There's a nice citrusy, lemony type of hit in the top, a little sweet spice hit of pink pepper, this lightly smoky, earthy, woody vetiver, and there is a little bit of a touch of an ambroxan shower gel type of feel. Even though there's no ambroxan listed, it sure smells like there's a little bit in there to me. But this is definitely one of my personal favorites. I'm kind of sparing with this 50 ml because I never really run across it again at the rack stores. I'd love to find it again for $25 and have a full 100 milliliters, because if I start going to town spraying on this like I have with some of my other favorites that are only 50 ml, I know before long I'll knock down this bottle pretty well. So it's a lifer that I don't have enough for life just yet, but definitely plan on getting more. It's a great one. Get your nose on this if you haven't tried it yet. This is Cool Water Parfum. While admittedly I don't wear this one all the time, it's just one of my favorite aromas to sniff on. I've always loved just grabbing the bottle and smelling it. I like to wear it in the cooler months because it really suits it. This is actually a clone fragrance of a long discontinued, crazy price at this point, Bond No. 9 fragrance called Andy Warhol. This is Essential Obsessions version of Bond No. 9 Andy Warhol. This is one of the old bottles, and this is one of the newer bottles, and I love this stuff. It smells so good. The best sweet plum I've ever smelled in a fragrance. A little bit of oud, there's a touch of spices, it's got a warm ambery feel. Performance is crazy. Performance is really stout in this fragrance. It's one that I don't really need more than 3 sprays when I do wear it. That's why it'll take forever to go through these bottles, but I've definitely got more than enough to cover me for life, and it's one that I would like to keep for life. Like I said, I don't necessarily wear it all the time. I'm very situational with it, but I do like to go back and forth to the bottle, especially when I'm in the area where the bottle's at. Reach for it, pull the cap off, and just sniff on it a little bit, because it just smells that damn good. This is one that hasn't really changed. I think this may have been in the first video, but it's still that good, guys, and since that video, I've added another bottle, actually. Check this one out if you haven't yet. It is the must-try from Essential Obsessions. Is their version of Bond No. 9's Andy Warhol. This is pretty new to the collection. I actually did a full review not that long ago on this one. One of the better affordable blue fragrances out there. I mean, a lot of you know, big fan of blue fragrances. Of course, there's going to be at least 1, 2, maybe 3, who knows, blue fragrances in this video. But Rochas L'Homme, this is a stud in the price bracket, because for me, cheap fragrances fall in the sub $50 price point as far as USD, and this one I paid $30 for a tester bottle. So it's typical presentation, has a tester sticker on the back, but came in a brown tester box. Nothing different here, minus a little bit of presentation change. But this is beautiful. This is a lovely hit of some bright gin-filled juniper, a little hit of some mintiness from some geranium. There's a little bit of spiciness. There's a little bit of an herbaceous feel. Beautiful woody backbone here. It's fresh without just being a basic citrus type of freshness. That's what I like about it. When you can get that level of freshness without it being more of a generic, I can smell this all over the place type of freshness. Admittedly, does have a little bit of similarity to the original Dolce & Gabbana K Eau de Toilette. This is definitely a much better fragrance overall and has a lot more depth. It's a deeper smelling scent profile than that. Though I do like Dolce & Gabbana K. I'm one of the few as far as the EDT, but this is definitely the ultimate version of what maybe Dolce & Gabbana was trying to do. Rochas took it, ran with it. I'm not saying they had the same idea, but they're definitely similar. This one is lights out, much, much better. Get your nose on this one if you haven't yet. This is one of the best blue fragrances out there currently in the marketplace, let alone being cheap. Rochas L'Homme. So like I said, I didn't watch the old video before I decided to record this, but if I remember correctly, I had Club de Nuit Intense Man, the Eau de Toilette, in there. Since then, actually, at the recording of this, the video came out this morning, this actually won a battle based on my personal preference against it. Talking about Afnan Supremacy Silver. This one's a little bit newer to my collection. Yes, I'm very late to the party on this fragrance, but it's so well balanced. It's more fresh and fruity than Club de Nuit Intense Man is. I get a lot of the apple, a little hit of bergamot, a nice dose of pineapple without being just based around pineapple. A little bit of blackcurrant for that tarty fruitiness, that type of fruity taste, because it's almost like a taste when you smell it instead of just a scent. And then the birch does come in as those citruses start to settle down. Once that top note settles into the heart, it becomes much more smoky and a lot more musky. On my scent, this is more about the fruitiness and the musks with a little bit, just a little bit of the florals, light touch, a little bit of vanilla. It's a little bit sweeter on my skin. And then the muskiness. Like I said, it's all about that clean muskiness. It's a beautiful fragrance, well above average. Not a beast on my skin, but definitely 8+ hours on my skin. I really like this one. I think because of the way it comes across as so versatile to me, that's why this is the one that would be the one for me to keep. Because, I mean, there's a ton of fragrances in this price point, sub $50, that smell like Creed Aventus. And I think for the decent quality that you're getting here, I mean, not luxury niche standards by any means, but also doesn't smell like a synthetic cheapie. So it kind of falls somewhere in between. It's decent quality. It's pretty accurate to Creed Aventus overall. And it's a very versatile take on the scent profile. Kind of more so than Creed Aventus even in itself, because like my 19S11 batch, it's quite smokier than this. More pineapple, more smoke. This is a little bit more well balanced, and I really like that about it. I dig it. So a lifer for me at this stage would be Afnan Supremacy Silver. Now this one, I just saw it for $30 for a 4.2 ounce at Burlington just a few days ago, so it's still out at the rack stores for very cheap at the recording of this. We're talking about Hugo Reversed from Hugo Boss. This is a beautiful grapefruit vetiver combo. Oh, very bright, sparkling. The grapefruit in here is a treat. Grapefruit lemon type of smell. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Reminiscent of Raja Parfum's Elysium Parfum Cologne. Not a dead ringer for it, but definitely kind of walks that path of that style of scent profile. Beautiful scent. This is one that I don't get a ton of performance out of. Kind of in that average range to slightly below 4 to 6 hours of longevity on my skin. But this one will turn some heads. This one will pull a compliment. It's one of the better smelling fresh fragrances out there. And like I said, not necessarily a dead ringer for Elysium Parfum Cologne, but it's pretty damn close. At designer level, cheapy price point, it's really freaking hard to beat. Because it does kind of do its own thing, but definitely borrows a lot of elements and style from Elysium Parfum Cologne. Get your nose on this one. This is really good. This is definitely a lifer for me. I love the way this stuff smells. It's Hugo Reversed. Now at the recording of this, you never know where the price is going to be. It fluctuates. It does this. I bought it for $44 on Amazon from a company called Intense Oud. And it's fluctuated even from them, where it's gone up to $60, going back down to $40. So you never know. So it was in my cheapy price territory when I bought it, and I still see it all the time in that price range. So go ahead and get that out the way before I have to answer it in the comments. But we're talking about Rasasi's Hawas. Another one that I was very late to the party on that I absolutely fell in love with. This is like the ultimate version of Invictus. It's Invictus plus some spices. I love that. Love that about this fragrance. So you're going to get that sweet aquatic hit that Invictus is known for with a bunch of cinnamon and cardamom to add this nice, not too warm of a spice, but it's more warm than it is fresh spice because you already have a sweet aquatic feel to it. It's very grounded on my skin. As it settles in, it has a little bit of an incense feel, even though there's no notes whatsoever that would offer anything smoky or incensey. It just kind of, I guess, the blend, the way it reacts on my skin comes across that way. Lights out performer. This is a monster on my skin. 4 to 5 sprays max when I wear this one. I actually started out wearing 5 sprays when I first got it and dialed it back to 4 because I was definitely pulling in some compliments, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining about that, but it was becoming overwhelmingly just too much. So I was like, let me drop a spray off. Not that I'm sure it made much of a difference, but some fragrances are just so damn strong, you want to be a little bit more considerate of others. And on my skin, this February 2022 bottle, because I know somebody's going to ask, this stuff is a nuclear performer on my skin. I love it. Like I said, I'll take this over Invictus. I'm at that point with it, and it's much more affordable. Yes, Invictus Acqua 2018, still my absolute favorite fragrance in my collection, but this is definitely up there in the top 5 in my entire collection, probably in the top 3, because it just smells that damn good. It's definitely got to be a lifer for me. It's Rasasi Hawas. This is one of those favorite fragrances that I only had a 50 ml of at the start that I referenced earlier. I have multiple bottles of this. This is undoubtedly a lifer for me. It's been featured almost to death on this channel because I just really enjoy it that much. You still see them all the time, 100 mLs for 30 bucks popping up at the rack stores. It's Abercrombie and Fitch, First Instinct together. For those of you that are new to the channel or haven't heard me talk about this one before, take the original First Instinct Eau de Toilette, that beautiful kind of aquatic melon type of smell, a little bit of spice, beautiful, clean musk, lovely fragrance, very underrated. Take Invictus Acqua 2018. It borrows the gradients in the bottle color and in the scent profile. You get that light aquatic, heavy ambergris, salty marine type of feel with a little bit of YSL. Speaking of the ambergris, just a touch, and you get this. It's a beautiful fragrance. God, I love that smell. Let's spray it some more. I always have enjoyed this one. Yes, this is on the more chemically synthetic side of things. It really is. But it's just so damn enjoyable for me personally. I use it for just about everything. Lounging around, out the shower, going to the gym casually. I wear it in the evening sometimes. Not necessarily something I wear to dinner, but it's really good on my skin. It's not a strong performer. The first 2 hours are really loud, though. This is a very bright, loud fragrance in the first 2 hours, but it only lasts about 4 to 5 hours on my skin, which honestly, I could see why. It's a very volatile scent profile. It's so bright and airy. I could see why it doesn't last that long. It's one that's solid. If you can find 50 mLs like this, they go for about 20 bucks. 100 mLs are around 30. Absolutely worth the money in my opinion. This is one I've stood behind for quite some time now. I really, really love this one. I have multiple bottles. I have 100 ml and I have either 1 or 2 other 50 mLs, but I can't remember exactly. But I have a few bottles of this, so I'm good for life. It's definitely a lifer for me. Try this one if you haven't yet. I believe the line's discontinued at this point. I can't confirm that. I've heard rumblings, but they're still popping up the rack stores. Check this one out. It's First Instinct together from Abercrombie and Fitch. Admittedly, I don't wear this one in the summer. I've stated it many times. That's why people get surprised on why it doesn't show up in a lot of summer lists and stuff like that, because I deem it ideal for spring and fall, and yes, it works well in winter. You can wear it in summer. I'm not saying I never have. It's just a little bit sweeter and more dense and powdery than I like for the summer. We're talking about Salvatore Ferragamo's Acqua Essenziale Blue. This is a repeat from that video. This will always be, if I redo this video every year, 2 years, whatever, this will always be there. This is definitely a lifer for me. It's still one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. The reason you don't see me wearing it non-stop all the time is because I just have so many. But just know that it's still, if I could only keep 10 cheap fragrances, this is probably the first fragrance I'm grabbing, if not the second. You know, it's going to be one of the first. I do have a backup 100 milliliter bottle as well. This 50 ml a little bit less than half. We're getting there. It's not one that I need a ton of sprays out of. This does perform above average. This is like 8-9 hours on my skin every time I wear it. Pretty loud in the first 2 hours as well. I'm an advocate for this fragrance. This is the fragrance that's most synonymous with my channel for a reason, because in the history of this channel, there's only one other fragrance I think I've recommended as much, and they're both in this video. So I like my cheapies. Like I said, no secret there. But as far as something for life, this is the most versatile fragrance in this video, besides maybe Supremacy Silver and Cool Water Parfum. I like them versatile, easygoing, and easy to wear. I like multi-situational fragrances, and stuff like this definitely does it. That's one of the main things that makes it a lifer. I just love the way it smells. It's Acqua Essenziale Blue from Salvatore Ferragamo. This is pretty new to the collection, but this is undoubtedly a lifer for me. This is one of the 10 I would keep if I could just keep 10 cheapies for sure. I found this for $32 at TJ Maxx. You can find it in the $40 range online. It's a cross between Versace Pour Homme and Chanel Allure Homme Sport. It's Missoni Wave. Some of you that have been watching on a regular basis recently probably expected to see this one, and for good reason. It's been my favorite pickup of the year. It's so freaking good. I love this fragrance. It's such a damn good fragrance. How many of you have tried this? Please let me know in the comments what you think about it. Not everybody's going to love it the way I do. I understand that. But for the money, it's really hard to beat. It's kind of a Chanel Allure Homme Sport killer because it's a fraction of the cost. It's not a dead ringer in scent profile, but it's pretty damn accurate. It doesn't come across as chemically synthetic. It's a great fragrance. Better than the original Missoni Parfum Pour Homme, which is closer to Bleu de Chanel. That's a great fragrance in its own right. But if I had to keep just one, it's this one. This was a no-brainer. This was one of the first fragrances I grabbed to put together this list for this video. It's amazing in my opinion. When I come across it again at a rack store, which I will come across it again, I'm going to buy a backup bottle because I spray it for just about everything. This is one that I use for everything, whether it's going to the gym, casual daytime scent. It works great in the workplace. It's great going to dinner, going out for drinks. It literally works in every situation. There is not a bad time to wear this one, even in the cold months. Yes, it works great in the summertime months. A little creamier, a little sweeter than some may like in the summer. But I think it's signature scent worthy. I love the way this stuff smells. Pulls in a nice compliment or two here and there. This is definitely a lifer for me. It's Missoni Wave. Last but not least, 4.2 ounce bottles you can get in the $40 to $50 range. Smaller bottles like this, I mean, hell, I got this on clearance for just a couple bucks at Marshall's a few years ago. I've had bigger bottles in the past. I'll have a big bottle again in the future, but we're talking about Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue, the original. This got left off last time, and shame on me because this is one of the most pivotal fragrances in my fragrance journey. Because I fell in love with this when it came out. My uncle got it. It was when it was a new release. My uncle had got it. And that was the first time I smelled it. I fell in love with it. I used to steal sprays from his bottle all the time. Got a gift set that Christmas of that year. I think it was 05. Got a gift set that Christmas. Might have been 06. And never looked back. It's been one of my absolute favorite scent profiles ever created for a long time now. Admittedly, I was already into fragrances before this came out. I've been into fragrances most of my life. Not at the level I am now, with making fragrance content on social media and amassing such a large collection of fragrances. But this is one that I had already had multiple bottles on a regular basis at this point for years. I was in my early 20s at this point. And this is one that, I don't know, it just made me even more seasonal and situational when this one came around. Though, even to this day, there's guys that this is their signature scent, and hey, I get it. It smells that good. It gets compliments from ladies. I understand all of the reasons on why a guy would just buy this and only wear this. Same thing with Acqua di Gio, the original. I get it. This one made me want to expand my wardrobe a bit more, where I already had a, going to church, going to dinner fragrance. I had something for, dressier occasions. I already had something casually, but this was more summer specific. I always found it to be just such a great fragrance in the hot weather. Like I said, you can wear it for anything, but it just always spoke to me as a summer breeze type of scent. A lot of character here. It's got a little bit of black pepper, give you a nice spicy kick in the top with the citruses, a little bit of incense to provide some depth to the scent, kind of warms things up a little bit, though very aquatic, like I said, salty sea breeze type of feel. It's such a good fragrance. It really has meant a lot to me in my fragrance journey, and that hasn't changed, so it absolutely deserves a spot forever in my 10 fragrances for life, 10 cheap fragrances especially. It's Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. Well, that's the 10 that I have for you today, and until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. If you could only keep a few, cheapies now, we're talking cheapies. If you could only keep a few, what would your keepers be? 10, 5, just one? I'd love to read it down below in the comments. I'm very curious on you guys' thoughts. Thank you to those that have reached out or those that have mentioned, hey man, you really should revamp this. It's been a long time, because it has been over 2 years. It was definitely time, because it definitely changed. You know, majority of this list changed. So you never know. Taste change and so on. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 10 that I picked and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.